Hi guys, Senator Rennick, People First. Just back from Canberra after 2 weeks there, where it seems that we did nothing but hold back the tide against more government overreach. Obviously we did stop the Misinformation, Disinformation Bill, which was good. Unfortunately we didn't stop the Online Safety Bill. Other bills that were passed mainly had to do with more handouts for people, increasing subsidies in particular. There's a housing scheme, build to rent scheme. Labor seem more interested in propping up the housing market through subsidies rather than cutting immigration. If we want to get people into housing, and as I've said before, let's just lower immigration. That's the simplest way to keep housing affordable and keep Australians in their own houses. But of course we know that many Australians are struggling to repay their debt as a result of the ridiculous increase in interest rates over the last 3 or 4 years, which has meant that basically the government, on the advice of Treasury, is running a high immigration rate to keep the housing market propped up, rather than actually just lowering immigration and letting housing come off 5 or 10% and keeping people in their houses. The one other thing that did happen was that Albanese didn't put up this environmental bill, which was going to, on the advice of Tanya Plibersek, who actually wanted an independent environment department to review all environmental projects. That would have been a disaster. In the sense that not many projects would have ever been built and the whole department would have been unaccountable. So that was a small victory. Unfortunately, I didn't get anywhere with getting documents on Avoca Road. The federal government came back and said the New South Wales government did a business case. I then did another production for order of documents where I've asked for all correspondence between the federal and New South Wales government, and that came back with nothing as well, which of course is a lie because they would have had to talk to each other, but that just shows the arrogance of the government. They're not interested in disclosing documents. ASIO also, I wrote a letter to ASIO, tried to follow up with them. They also wrote back and said, we can't tell you any more information, which, as you've all seen through our estimates, this is just typical of the bureaucracy today, who seem to think that their role is to control us rather than serve us. So that's very, very annoying as well. But, as I reflect on my time in Canberra, whenever I go to Canberra, it always feels like we're trying to stop more government overreach rather than talk about solutions for the country. And that's something, I know the media try to control us through propaganda, and the government tries to control us through censorship and digital ID and things like that, and getting more and more forms of identification. But the biggest form of control, in my view, is still debt. And this is the problem I have with the minor and major parties, is that none of them actually have any ideas on how to get our economy turned around. And if we want to do that, the simplest way to do that is effectively start building infrastructure. And that infrastructure has to stay owned by the people through a sovereign wealth fund, not the future fund, which is, it's not a future fund at all, that thing. That's just a defined benefit scheme. It's just a slush fund for retired white-collar public servants in Canberra. So we need to start building infrastructure again in this country. We need to reduce the size of the bureaucracy, and the money we would save from reducing the size of the bureaucracy can go to cutting income taxes so that people can pay their mortgage. So that's what we need to focus on, and we never seem to talk about that anymore. And I guess that's what I'm going to focus on for the remainder of the time I have left in this term. And I'll certainly be out and about over the next 2 months in December and January, and then obviously, as the campaign's called, trying to talk about policies that actually get us back on track economically, because until we lower the debt, the government can control us, because we can't just, if we can at least own our own house and things like that, it's harder for the government to control us. So I'll be talking about those policies. This week I'm up at Maleny to talk about it. Next week I'll be in Brisbane Downs in North Brisbane to talk about it. As well as that, we've managed to get through the first month of the 1 month of objections. So no one's objected to the creation of the People First Party. So I'm hoping to get the party registered in the next few weeks. That should happen very soon. And then once that happens, I'll be looking to get candidates and doing some fundraising. So anyway, I'll keep you posted.